Hello and welcome. I'm Fuzzy Logic and I will be looking at Solve today and specifically the Abyssal Legions, um, a very melee focused army. Uh, and not a bad one. Very strong. They've got some cool armor and they've got some cool tools. But let's get into it. So the standard two commanders, a combat commander and a sorcerer. So let's start with the combat commander. He can ride a unique beast, so let's put it on like that. But let's start with commander. This commander is probably, oh yeah, I feel confident saying he is the most offensive, most choppy character in the game. Um, and yeah, as a single model, he is probably the nastiest piece you can get in the game. 65 points, 60 base, 65 points per weapon. You give him whatever you like. Generally, it's a great weapon. I'd find because you've got good skill. Um, you don't need the defense as much because you've got abyssal armor, which I'll get to in a second, and you just want to hit really hard. But yeah, so let's run it through him. Skill 5, power 4, 5 with great weapon, defense 4, 3 attacks, 3 wounds, 9 discipline. Very solid, high on the skill side, but apart from that, relatively like character stat line. So Abyssal Armor is something he comes with base, which is lovely. So plus 1 to damage saves, so that means even if you are getting hit by something really hard, you get plus 1 to your save. This is only on him as an individual, so it only really affects duels, but just makes him that much more survivable in a duel, which is something you will want to be probably getting into with them. And demonic possession, which is a very nice one-off ability. Gives you plus 3 attacks and minus 3 skill that turn. So suddenly his 3 attacks goes to 6 attacks. Now in that duel, suddenly you go from, oh, maybe if I'm lucky I'll do 3 wounds and kill the other commander to, hey, I've got 6 attacks. There is a very good chance that I'm going to chop this guy down. So with his innately good stat line, you often want to get him extras to go with. Um, if you are going, you can. There's many choices here. You can do a few different builds. Personally, I like True Strike, so reroll missed attacks. I mean, so the demonic possession lowers your skill, so suddenly your skill's 2. But if you're rerolling to hit, hitting on 4s, that's still 4 or 5 hits in a round. Um, and you can also get him items which to buff his output as well. Note that you can't use potion of power and uh, demonic possession in a turn, so not the best combo. But unnatural power is very nice. Plus more power on the strike. That means base 6 on a charge, 7 damage is very offensive. So I do like that as combo. Some people also run prowess to counter the demonic possession lowering, but personally I take true strike instead. But yeah, so a lovely piece and a manticore, which is your standard flying monster. 65 points. He's a bit more pricey because he's got 4 attack space instead of 3 like a griffin. Um, but yeah, claws, so power 6 on the charge, flying, very nice. Skill 4 and defense 5. It's not bad. You need to look after him. 5 wounds only. But yeah, he is a nice piece for getting around your very choppy character on. But yeah, so lovely offensive character. It gets pricey, but it does a job. Now, on to the sorcerer. Personally, I struggle to run the sorcerer as much. He's got Abyssal Armor, which makes him not bad at surviving in combat at all. Um, Skill 4, Power 4, Defense 4, standard stuff, 2 attacks, 3 wounds, and a Discipline 8. He's a good, decent character. I mean, he's pretty good actually. With the Abyssal Armor, he should not die to other characters very easily, and he can do a little bit of damage as well with power 4 and skill 4. Um, he's got limited options when it comes to uh, magic. Shadow Belt and Fireball is the only ranged damage output of the entire army, but I think if you're playing this army, you're probably not leaning into that. I certainly wouldn't. Arcane Hex of Ruin is an excellent spell, -3. Um, Defense, you just need enough attacks to make use of that, and Arcane Web can be cool, but it's harder to use. So immobilizing a unit for a turn can be very nice, but you've got to it takes some finesse to use it. But yeah, I mean he's not bad. He's more expensive as it comes to a mage, but yeah, he can be a good, and he's a nice piece on his own. He's just not the cheapest. Alright, now onto the battle line. So we have three choices. The North Axeman, a very standard human stat line with 3, skill 3, power 3, defense 4 with hand weapon shield, 1 attack, 1 wound, 7 discipline. Solid, nice, like it. Can pop 2 hand weapons on them for a point, so it brings up to 6 to 7 points a model. An extra attack. If you're using Hex, for instance, this might be worth it, because that effect, you can drop the enemy's defense, so your power being lower on the charge, and your doesn't matter as much, and you're just relying on the output damage, so you're not as worried about the defense. But as a solid, just standard baseline infantry, 60 points for 10 of them is very, very nice. Also, these boys will often be your screen to hide your Manticore and other valuable units behind, so often we'll be running them wide. Now, onto the Abyssal Warriors, one of the very expensive but very nice units. You've got a few weapon choice options. Hand weapon, shield, halberds, great weapon, or two-handed weapons. So you can do anything and everything with this. Halberds is the one I wouldn't recommend because you're powerful already, so a fair amount of stuff has only got 4-up save anyway. If you want more chop, great weapons will do that, and pretty much always be better. Well, yeah, a lot of the time be better. But yeah, so this unit, I mean, it's tanky. It's very tanky. It's very slow because it's Abyssal Armor is -1 move, but it does get +1 to damage save, and at defense 5 with the hand weapon and shield, it does not die easy. It will, and 2 attacks a model, skill 4, power 4. It will grind through some stuff, but you've got to get there first, and generally it takes a while to get there. And if you just get shot over multiple rounds of shooting, that it's going to take you to get to the opposition. Sometimes you'll lose combat effectiveness, or the rest of your army will be dead, and you'll have wandered up and suddenly find them alone. And as much as they are very good, if they get flanked and reared, they are not going to win their fights. So yeah, I think a tough proposition to run. Next, the Dragon Spawn. 50 points a base, but these are some meaty, monstrous infantry. Oh, you might call them monstrous cav. They are almost that. But so here we go. You can run halberds, but again, base power 4. When you can run two-hand weapons or great weapons, why would you? Great weapons is probably the way to go. You have scaly skin, so yeah, skill 4 is good hitting, power 5 with great weapons, very nice, and 6 on the charge, very nice. Defense 5 is pretty damn tanky. 3 attacks, 4 wounds, which is the big one for this unit, and discipline 8. I mean, they're not bad speed wise. They have good offensive, good hit potential. Only 9 attacks and a very 50 points a base. It's very expensive, so it's once again not the easiest proposition to take. They eat a lot of your points, and they are. I mean, it's 12 wounds for 100 and 120 points, 150 points. So that is not so easy. to take. Alright, fast attack now. We've got some good options in here. So Northern Horseman, again that human stat line, skill 3, power 3, defense 3, 4 with a shield, 2 attacks, 2 wounds, 7 discipline. Just your standard faster cavalry, bit more defense with the shield. Only 80 points. So that is what, 16 points a model. It's not so bad. Price wise, they don't do as much as a lot of other cavalry, and they're generally, I'd call them okay. At a pinch, they will do a job. I do prefer some other pieces in here. Now, this is the most expensive unit, I think, singularly in the game. At least its base size. The Abyssal Knights. 5 of them costing you 175 points. That is pretty brutal on the price side. So what's that? 35 points a model. Hand weapon shield, all great ones, what you can run. So let's run through it. Skill 4. So they're an Abyssal Warrior stat line, except they're mounted. So skill 4, power 4, defense 4, 5 with the hand weapon shield. 3 attacks, 2 wounds, 9 discipline. They with the Abyssal armor to give them +1 to save rolls, and hand weapon shield currently to give them +1 on the charge. You can great with them to give them bring this up to 5/6, which is nice, but as soon as you're fighting someone who's strength 4, it's not worth it. Because basically, if you are 1 higher defense than your opposition's strength, these guys will have a 2-up save, which is amazing. But as soon as you drop that, you will, against strength 4, you'll get 3-up saves. On strength 5, you'll get 4-up saves, and then these guys start to die. And they are very expensive models to lose. At such a high price value, I would be tempted to run these guys with Banners of Mists to give them cover, because the last thing you want to do is lose 1 or 2 to range shooting. And lethal strike shots are these guys' worst nightmare. Okay, so on to the next, which is the Abyssal Hounds, a cheap grenade unit. So skill 3, power 4, defense 4, 2 attacks, 1 wound, 6 discipline. So and fangs, so +1 power on the charge. They are excellent at being thrown in, do some damage. If they're lucky, they survive. If they're lucky, they might win and chase it off. But against a higher value target, they can really take a chunk out of it. Take some good points, trade up, soften a target that you need softened before you can take it out, and then they die. They are vulnerable to shooting, being 1 wound apiece at only defense 3, and they will die when they hit combat. But they can do some excellent work. So I really like the Abyssal Hounds. Now somewhat the opposite of the Abyssal Hounds in some respects is the Abyssal Chariot, which is your standard Abyssal stat line for warriors and knights. Skill 4, power 4, defense 5. Comes with 3 attacks, 5 wounds because chariot, discipline 8. Hand weapon and crushing charge gives this guy +2 attacks and +3 power on the charge. So power 7 and 5 attacks on the charge, giving some really nice high strength punch, but not a lot of attacks. Abyssal armor gives him the staying power. So defense 5 Abyssal gives the a real good staying power on this guy. He can be a real tank sometimes against those lower strength attacks. You'll be saving on 2-ups, which so he might not win every combat, but he will stand and take a beating and hold people up a lot, as well as being a really good grenade to hurt people in the first round. So I really like the Abyssal Chariot. And now we're on to the Demonic Allies, which is the interesting couple, but very expensive. So we have the Archdevil, a very cool piece. A flying killing machine with skill 5, power 6 with a great weapon. So power 5 base, defense 5, 6 attack, 6 wounds, 10 discipline. He's flying, so he can get where he wants. Frenzy, so he rerolls those hits first round. Fearless, so he's not running away unless you just have a really terrible bad day rolling that. And great weapon, or you can give him paired weapons. So 7 attacks at strength 5, or 6 attacks at strength 6 or 7 is the choice. It's a little more of a choice. An extra attack can be very nice, and sometimes the more attacks the better, especially if you've got magic to pair with it. But yeah, no, he's a very expensive piece at 150, but can do a lot of damage. And if you put in a flank, he's probably at skill 5. He's probably hitting 5 or 6 out of his 6 attacks, and into the right target, he can make a mess. But you've got to be careful with him. Again, he goes down to shooting at defense 5 and only 6 wounds, so he is vulnerable. And then you've got the double spawn, and I'm afraid I just don't see these guys, and I think for very good reason. If they get into something, they will kill it, but they just won't. 9 times out of 10. Or they'll be subject to something like the hounds charging into them, just killing a bunch of them, and sure, they'll have killed you, kill them, but you'll take far more damage and lose far more points in the process. So 15 points a model, 10 of them. They have great weapons, frenzy and fearless, so they won't run away. Skill 4, power 5 with a great weapon, 6 on the charge. Defense 3 though, this is where they fall down because they will die to shooting, and they're such a great target. 15 points a model, 2 attacks, 1 wound, and 10 discipline. So if they get to the fight in a fair, alright number, they will make a mess. Like two attacks each, re-rolling to hit, at skill 4 and power 5 or 6 is amazing. But it's just not likely that many will get there. And you have to also be fighting something, a good matchup, so something that's high value enough to make use of your attacks. Because if you're fighting something small and rubbishy like goblins, and you kill like 8 of them, but they poke you with their spears and kill like, half your unit, you may make them run away, but if like they will have still actually traded up in points. So it's I think a really hard unit to find a space for in an army. Okay, so that is the army as a whole. So let's look at a couple of lists. So both my lists are actually taken off other people. So this is the Homelander clone. So taken from Filthy pretty much directly. I tried to write a few other bits, but it just didn't really line up in any other way apart from what he takes, which is an amazing list. So yeah, go check out his channel, Filthy Casual. But yes, so here it is. So we have Homelander himself, which is a great weapon, Abyssal Warrior, True Strike, Unnatural Power. So this guy is Strength 6 base, Strength 7 on the charge. Demonic Possession is so he gets up to 6 attacks. He's re-rolling to hit with True Strike. Amazing offensive ability. And then we have, and we're back. Sorry about that. So the just went over the Lord. Flying on a Manticore. You can switch this out for a Chariot. Chariot is tankier, same points. Manticore is faster and gets him where it needs to go. So that's the only thing that I can manage to change about this list when I'm trying to run it. So the core is 2 Northman axes, solid units. Keep the price down by not giving them paired, and I've got nothing to buff them with, so there's, I think, hand weapon shield I actually prefer to paired weapons here. They are the screen as well to hide your Manticore and Chariot behind if you don't want to get shot round 1. Then you have the fast attack, which is 2 units of hounds and a chariot. So the hounds will go in, do damage, take fire to start with, to distract the fire, and the chariot can do damage and then tank. So it's an extremely good list. Filthy has used it very well, and he's well at this moment doing very well in the tournament that's going on, and has made the finals. So best of luck to him there. And now the other list, the mage. So this is again, I can't remember who it is. I have taken this list off pretty directly, I think. I might have. He has a tendency to play around with adding a few bits onto the sorcerer, which is fair enough and not a bad choice. He, but yes, Hexrune, one of the best spells in the game. And you, yeah, running this Abyssal Saurian with Hexrune, so he's quite fighty in a very fighty unit, the Abyssal Knights. I've put Banner of Mist on them. I'm sure. I think it's Loffreda, or begins with L for sure. The guy who I've taken this off, more or less. But I put Banner of Mist here. I'm sure he's experimented with that in the past as well. It just allows you to try and frontline these against certain armies and not worry too much about the shooting damage, and most of you will get there. 14 Norseman axes, again, just solid units. I might be interested in changing these to paired weapons now. I've got a hex to pair it with. I should look into that. And then the same fast attack. 2 hounds, lots of damage, and go fast. Abyssal chariot, good tanking, good damage on the charge. So yeah, there we are, the 2 Abyssal lists. I do quite like the Abyssals. They aren't the most. Well, there's no shooting, so you're definitely looking for the fight. And if you're down for a messy and brutal fight, these are a good army to choose, and they will outfight a lot of people. So yeah, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I shall see you on the ranked ladder.